hope that I'm live. Good morning, everybody. This is so weird. I am sitting in my office in Cape Town in South Africa, and it's 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning. And this is the start of a few series of videos where Pippa Shaper, my partner, and myself will be talking to you about authentic resilience. Yeah, it's a real passion of both of ours, and it's something that we've been working with for many, many years. So weirdly enough, I was almost late for my first Facebook Live because I was busy working with the tech, which really just reminds me that for a lot of us, this is new. There's a lot that we've been doing in the last couple of months that is brand new. I suppose if I was in my 20s, this wouldn't be new. We would be used to speaking to a camera, and actually we would be used to bringing our lives to the world through a camera. But for me, it's new. I'm not used to that. So here I am, the first video. Really, the reason for the videos is that myself, Gabi Lowe, and my work colleague, Pippa Shaper, started the Resilience Factory 3 years ago. And we have been teaching a course called the 10 R's of Authentic Resilience for 3 years now. As I say, it's a topic that we are absolutely passionate about. Why? Well, here I sit, this is my office, but it was a few years ago what we affectionately called the drug den. That's not quite how it sounds. It was a mixing room, a room that we turned into a hospital room in our home in order to care for my daughter Jenna, who was 17 at the time that she was diagnosed with a very, very rare condition called pulmonary hypertension that affects the lungs. It is a degenerative lung condition for which there is no cure and which very little was known about in South Africa at the time. It's been quite a journey. It's been a long journey, and one that required a lot of resilience, authentic resilience. And our journey is one that still requires resilience. My husband, shortly after we lost our daughter in 2015, was diagnosed with cancer. So our lockdown started a little bit earlier than everybody else's because we were being absolutely fastidious about not putting Stu in danger. So I see people are joining me from all over the place, and it's absolutely wonderful to see you all. Thank you for being here. As I said in the beginning, this is just really weird, talking to a camera. I think while I'm thinking about it, what we never see is we don't see ourselves talking. So it's really strange to watch how my face moves when I talk. Anyway, it's not something I'm used to, as I said. But what I am used to is authentic resilience. Now, the reason for these talks, why are Pippa and I going to come to you every Tuesday at 9 o'clock? We're going to take it in turns. And I think what we really want to do is we want to try and debunk the myths surrounding resilience. So we started this course called Authentic Resilience. And I guess the big question is, why authentic? Why not just resilience? There are many reasons for that. And if you go online right now and you Google resilience, one of the things that you're going to come up against all the time is bouncing back. It's the first thing that crops up. Go on, Google resilience, and you will see it all over the time. Bouncing back, bouncing back. So here's the thing, and it's really important. If you have been through, or you know anybody who's been through any kind of trauma, real trauma, be it crime, be it a divorce, be it retrenchment, losing a home, be it illness, disease, loss, the death of a loved one, you need to know there's no bouncing. You don't bounce back from something like that. And nor would you want to. We need to give time to the grieving process. And grief is not just about death. We're all grieving at the moment. The entire world is in some form of universal grief. In fact, we are busy letting go of things that we need to let go of, but that we were used to having in our lives. We talk about authentic resilience because resilience it's a complex thing. It's not a simple thing. The word resilience is a suitcase word. What goes into that suitcase is an awful lot of things. Pippa and I started teaching this because she too has had an awful lot of loss in her life. In fact, her story is one of a litany of loss, a real litany of loss. And we met about 3 months after I lost my eldest daughter, Jenna, to pulmonary hypertension. And she came up to me in the yoga studio and said, right, we need to have lunch. And that was the start of the most incredible friendship that ended up us becoming business partners. We both realized that one of the questions that we got asked all of the time is, how do you cope? How have you coped? What do you do? Tell me the magic. Give me the secrets. How do you cope? Or somebody saying, I just don't know how you do it. I could never cope. The truth is you can, and you do. And recently there's been quite a lot written. There's a lot out there at the moment about post-traumatic growth. And it is a thing. It really is a thing. What the stats are showing is that 50% of people who go through severe trauma come out the other side experiencing post-traumatic growth. And we will do another video on post-traumatic growth at another stage because it's fascinating. But what I found the most interesting is that the people who go through and who discover and learn to live post-traumatic growth are the ones that don't avoid the pain. They don't avoid the processing. They are not avoidant in their behavior around emotion. And I think that's absolutely key to why we call our course the 10 R's of authentic resilience, because there's a huge difference. At the moment, there seems to be this absolute explosion worldwide of people talking about resilience. Suddenly, whole ad agencies are becoming agencies for resilience. People who've never spoken about resilience are talking about resilience. And yes, that's important. We need it. Everybody needs it. Right now, the world needs it more than ever. But I think it's really important that you understand what authentic resilience is so that you don't have expectations of yourself that are unrealistic, because you'll be severely disappointed. So what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks is to unpack the myths around resilience, the myths surrounding resilience. And that first myth is exactly that resilient people bounce back. Not true. No bouncing. It takes long, hard, intentional work to process trauma. And you can't skip that step. That step could take years, it could take decades, and it can't be avoided. It's about integration. It's not about splitting off the things that make you feel vulnerable, full of pain, full of grief, full of fear. Those things are real, and they're not bad emotions. We tend to label emotions as good or bad. Those are values that we bring to emotions. Emotions are not good or bad. They are emotions, and they can't kill you. In fact, running from them might, but they can't kill you. These things can't be avoided. We need to integrate them. We need to integrate the grief. We need to integrate the loss. We need to integrate daily disappointment. And it starts when our children are little. It starts then. We start by teaching them just to bear it, to sit with it, to allow. So, Resilient people, yes, they do eventually find a way to keep going. And beyond that, they find a way to live an engaged, a fully engaged and open-hearted life. Now that takes a hell of a lot more courage than putting on a suit of armor and bouncing back. The problem with bouncing back is it's too quick. You haven't done the emotional processing. You haven't done the work. And what will happen is it'll come back and bite you. That suit of armor that you put on to go out into the world and pretend that you are resilient, that suit of armor will get heavier and heavier. And one day you'll have to take it off. One day it'll come back to bite you. So the real trick here is not to expect to bounce. Give yourself the time, the space, and if needs be the professional help to do the right grieving and the right processing. And as I said earlier, grief is not just about death. It's about loss in all sorts of different ways. It's about disappointment. It's about change. It's about letting go of things that we have always expected to be part of our life that are now no longer part of our life. It's about letting go of dreams for the future, actually, and allowing things to be. But as I say, that takes time, and that takes time to integrate into your world. And the second part of the first myth about bouncing back is the back part. You don't go back. You can never go back. We are not going to go back after Corona to the world that there was. Each and every one of us is experiencing this differently. Yes, there is a universal vulnerability, but we're experiencing this in our own unique and individual way, depending on our unique circumstances. I'm very blessed to live in a home with a roof over my head, where I have space to sit in the garden and enjoy the sunlight, where I'm able to social distance, and I'm deeply aware of the hundreds of thousands of people who can't. So each one of us is having a different experience of Corona through our own lens, right? But there is a sense of a universal thing that is shared as well. A shared enemy, if you wish, is a way to put it. And I put it to you that you need to know you're not going to go back. You don't just go back to the way things were. And in fact, we never do. Each experience that we have in our life goes into the pot, the deep well that makes us who we are. And certainly if you're someone who has experienced deep and severe ongoing trauma or pain, you don't go back. You don't unsee what you've seen. You don't unexperience what you've experienced. You can't walk away from it completely. The only thing to do is to integrate it into who you are, to make it part of who you are, to work with it. And yeah, you don't get to step over or go around. You have to walk through the middle, all the muddy, messy bits need to be worked through. So, first and foremost, when we talk about authentic resilience, there's no bouncing back. That's myth number one. You don't bounce and you don't go back. But hey, it's okay. Because guess what? You go forward, and you go forward with more wisdom, with more gratitude, with more knowledge, with more understanding of who you are in the world, who you really are, with what lies underneath the roles and the responsibilities. You learn who you are. So the first step in authentic resilience is that people take responsibility for their own emotional well-being. You don't expect the rest of the world to fix it for you. You know that your happiness lies in your hands. And so you do the work. You have to do the work. And that means being intentional. It means really knowing that you're setting out for something. In a way, I've just thought it's a bit like a marriage. When you stand at that altar and you make your vows, not only do you make your vows to the one that you love, to the person in your life, to the person that you marry, you also make the vow to marriage. You say, I'm committing to this, right? And it's not always easy. There are times you have to work it through. There are times you have to toil in the garden. You have to water that garden. You have to nurture it. You have to plant new seeds. You have to till the soil. It's the same with authentic resilience. It's the same with that notion of bouncing back. Put it aside. You ain't going to do that. You're going to work the soil. Okay? You're going to work the soil and you're going to put in the effort to really unpack the stuff that has caused you pain. Understand why. Understand how to work with it. Understand what you can let go of because you can't control, and what you can work with because you can control. And don't be afraid to get the help that you need. But if you walk away from doing that work, you may be able to go out into the world pretending that you're fine for a while, but it's not going to last. So these videos are not going to be long, and we're going to come to you every Tuesday at 9 o'clock to debunk the myths around resilience. That is the first myth. You don't bounce back. I hope that we'll see you next Tuesday, and you will meet my partner, Pippa, who started the Resilience Factory with me in 2017. And we have, since the launch of the business, taught the 10 R's of authentic resilience to, I think, over 2,000, about 2,500 people. And the exciting thing for us is we've now taken these courses online. I have to admit, rather embarrassedly, that it's something that we were resistant to. I think for numerous reasons, mainly because there's something so wonderful about the energy of actually seeing and feeling and being with people in the same room. And as coaches, we feed off that. We really need people's energy so that we can read the room and read where people are. So it's been quite an adjustment going online. But we've done it, and we've now, in the last 5 weeks, run 7 or 8 courses on authentic resilience. And I think the reason that we've pushed ourselves to go live, to do things like this that we don't normally do, is that we are very aware of the extreme need out there right now for authentic resilience. And we keep saying to each other, but we've got these tools that we know work. We know, because we've both lived through some hectic kind of hell, and we are not only fine, we're doing well. We're doing well. And so we know the tools. We've learned the tools, we've researched the tools, we've tested the tools with all of our clients, and they work. They work in any situation. So that's really forced us to say, okay, let's take our pride and put it in our pocket. Let's take our fear and step over it, and let's say, okay, we're going to go out there and we're going to really start teaching this work. So thanks for joining me today. That was myth number 1. Next Tuesday, myth number 2, surrounding resilience. And really what we're trying to do is we're going to teach you about resilience through saying, this is what it isn't. And then maybe you want to come on one of the courses. Currently, we teach them as 5 2-hour modules or 10 1-hour modules. And you can join a day course or a night course. If you want to know more and when those dates are, you can go to www.theresiliencefactory.com. www.theresiliencefactory.com. Thanks, really. Thanks so much for being here. It's wonderful to see you all. It's really wonderful to see all your comments. Wow. Gee, look at that. Fantastic. Guys, have an awesome day. And do the work. Do the work. Don't avoid. Don't hope to bounce back from this. Know that every day you're learning something more about yourself and about what you want and what you don't want. So spend some time now in this lockdown time thinking about, what do you want to take forward with you? And what do you want to leave behind? Because you have an opportunity here. a huge opportunity to do things differently. Take care.